Hello and welcome to a new video here on the Lötwig Fusel channel. Today we're gonna write a web server in C++ and yay, something that we can do finally, some nice and webby stuff. You all know that the web is nice and that a web browser is amazing and everything is great when doing web programming. But personally I already hated that web programming was always done in like some bad languages that were not really performant. I mean, like I always wrote my web applications previous to like C++. I wrote my web applications in PHP, which was okay, but not as great as C++. Today we're going to write in C++. Many people would say, hey, wait a minute, why are you writing something in C++? There is no web server in C++, there's no scripting language, no framework in C++, you have nothing. And that is actually right, yes, we have nearly nothing. But the thing is that is the power which comes with C++. We have the power to take the libraries that we want and compose them to a C++ web server. So today we're going to take I think like probably 3 libraries that we need to take to basically get a web server up and running in C++. And to get all these libraries onto our system, we are gonna use Conan. Yes, we are again at Conan. So let's create our first file, owner Conan file.txt, and inside this Conan file.txt we're gonna say requires, and we're gonna say generators, and we're gonna use again pre-make again, but requires. What do we need? We need a web server that can do a web server. So we could like say web server here on C++, and we could scroll through and find a nice little web server, but it is not that easy to get the right project. I did a little bit of search, HTTP. If I would take a look at HTTP, we are gonna find CPP HTTP lib, which is a single file header only cross-platform HTTP HTTPS library. And if we would go at the page here to GitHub, we can see some examples, and I chose that web server because I like how it's done. It supports HTTP and HTTPS, so no SSL and SSL. You can define your own route. The routes support right-clicks to basically do wildcards. You can do it, which is especially powerful when doing a tutorial like that. You can do it all in lambdas, even if I'm not quite a good fan of lambdas, but yeah, you can do it. You can easily import certificates with just 2 paths. You can actually use, as I already told you, regex expression, regular expression up here for matching. You can bind to any port you like. You can set mount points, so basically serving a static directory, static data with a specific rule, so they can have all your style sheets in one document. You can easily define file extensions and how they shall be processed. You can set up your own logging, you can set up your own error handling and exception handling, pre-route routing, post-routing handling. Multi-part form data, form content, everything, whatever you like. Configure, whatever you like, configure the server, like read timeout, write timeout, keep alive, everything you might want to have. You can write your own thread pool that's going to being used by this library, and the list goes on. So you have very, very nice features, and it's easy to use and get started. So we're going to use this library today. So let's actually close the other instance that I have open here, and let's add this as a requirement. So now we have an HTTP server. To build all these requirements, let me quickly create a new configure.bat file. And in this configure batch file, we're gonna echo off, we're gonna invoke Conan. So Conan install here, build missing, build type is going to be debug just for the sake of making this, and then later on to do run pre-make, but pre-make is not installed yet. Let's open up a new terminal, let's hit the configure bat. And you can see that it already installed this. Actually, as you can see, the cpp http lib was taken from cache because they already took it. But that's not really mattering quite well later on when we are gonna enable SSL. It's also requiring OpenSSL, which will probably need to be built on your system if you have the latest component. Missing, there we go. If you have the latest Visual Studio compiler, and then they need to be compiled, and compiling OpenSSL is time consuming. But yeah, that's good, we already skipped this. Let's quickly take a look at the options, info.txt, the full options that we can select. And what I just want to do is I want to say with OpenSSL, which is enabling us to use HTTPS options. With OpenSSL, we're gonna set this to true because we want to use Open or HTTPS. You should definitely use it. And if I would now run this again, you can see it automatically used OpenSSL. We also rebuilt OpenSSL, but this was already done on my system. But on your system, this now might take a time to build. Alright, so now we have basically our HTTP server. So let's get started by writing some code for the HTTP server. Before you can do this, we need premake. So premake5.lua. So there we get premake. I'm just going to put them all in the root directory for this project here. Now let's also steal the premake5 Lua from the different project in here so that I can just steal it very quickly and then adapt it. So we're gonna have, it's still gonna be called string hasher, but it's gonna be called web app now, and the location will no longer be the, oh yes, we want to have a source directory. We're gonna do this with source, and we're also gonna do this with app, but the app directory will be here, and I want to move without asking. So now we have the app and the source directory. Let's also create a main.cpp file. Let's do a quick int main here to make sure that everything is set up. Good. And this is it. So now we have a main file, we have the app directory. This should all be already configured well. String hasher, string web. I'm just going to rename this again because I like this name better. And now we can actually go to our configure and we can run premake. So premake 5 vs 2022. Alright, if we now would hit configure again, we should have a solution. Yes, we have the string hasher solution, string hasher.sln. I'm just going to open this by typing in the name here. There it is. Let's open up the main file. And we are ready when zooming in so that you can see stuff. Maximum, hello, can you? Yeah, there you go. There we go, we are now zoomed in. And now we can start. Now we first need to include it. So let's see what includes we get. Yes, there it is, HTTP lib. So now let's create an HTTP lib server, HTTP lib SSL server, because we want to have this encrypted server. We're going to call it SRV. And as you already saw on GitHub, it needs a certificate and it needs a private key, and we actually need to generate them. And normally, if you are doing this on a production environment, you would go in and basically buy a proper certificate for your system. But we don't have the option here to pay like money for that. So there is a website which is called selfsignedcertificate.com. This is used to generate self-signed certificates. Basically, they are not trusted and you want to get a warning that they are bad and stuff. But we at least have a certificate to test it. So I'm just going to add the server name, and the server name will just be localhost because it's our local system. And I will click create to generate a certificate. You can see, all right, it says certificate generated. We have this localhost.key, which I can download, and we have this localhost.cert that we can download. Now I have this .cert and this .key file here in my browser. I'm just going to put this aside. Go back into Visual Studio Code, go onto our app directory, gonna create a new folder, gonna call this HTTPS, so that we know what's going on there. And then I'm gonna take all the data and drag it in. So first the key and the certificate as well. You can see how they are looking. So we have the cert and the key, and now we are ready to use them. But actually, personally, I don't like to put some paths in here, like HTTPS and then like this special name. The user should be able to basically specify these pages on their own, basically. So yeah, let's us actually define that as a configuration parameter. And to use configuration parameter, we need JSON. So we need a library for writing JSON. So let's find the JSON library, JSON. I think JSON CPP it's called. I'm like a bit familiar with that library. It's called JSON CPP. It's just, it's not actually that straightforward to read a file with JSON PP. This is the only issue with that library, but accessing the JSON data and basically building the JSON data itself is very easy. So yeah, let's actually use it like that. Alright, so we need to go back to our Conan file, and we're gonna need to add the dependency. We need to run configure again, which already load this from cache because I already have it, but it might need to download and rebuild this on your side. I can just reload all here. Now I can include, come on, JSON.h. And because JSON is a bit hard, or not hard, but it's a bit hard to read the configuration files, I am gonna write a nice little function, which is gonna be called load JSON. We're gonna have a const jar pointer file name, and we have a JSON object. How was it called? JSON. What? Just JSON. Interesting. I have forgotten how this object is called. We're gonna see in a sec when we get the documentation here open. Here. No. That's trash. I know that there's an example here. Let's go to example. Read from stream. CPP. And we wanna copy that one. That one. All that one. JSON value it's called. Value. There we go. So we're gonna have a pointer value to which value we want to write. I'm just gonna paste that in, and then I'm gonna stripe all the. I'm gonna stripe out that one, and in case of failure, I'm just gonna throw an std exception failed to parse JSON or to load or parse JSON. We don't care what happened. So we have this JSON builder and this JSON errors, this JSON CPP string, which is probably just a const. Is it just a const jar pointer? No, I think it's an std string errors. I think, does this builder really need these errors as parameters? Probably. Let's just quickly replace that one by that. Yeah, it needs these errors. Why ever somebody would really need to output error strings. Right. This basically how this works is you create a builder that is used to build up the values from the input stream that we're gonna just replace in any second. And basically what's gonna happen is that this builder is responsible for transforming the strings into the JSON object. And this builder has several parameters like this collect comments that we can select true or false. JSON by default doesn't support comments, but there's like any JSON library or every JSON library on the world nearly supports comments. And so basically this library has the support of actually collecting the comments. If you might want to restore the JSON file on disk again, then this should be on so that the comments don't get striped away. So I'm just going to leave this as on, even though we are not going to write this back for now. So next thing that's left to do is add the input stream. So let's hashtag include iOS stream. And let's do an std in stream if stream in file stream ifs. Just gonna keep the name here. Let's add the file name in. And if ifs is not open, I wanna oh, not there. I wanna, so like that. I wanna also throw an std exception and say failed to open JSON file. We're not gonna catch them, but we just wanna be like that. Alright, so basically now we have a function that's gonna load the JSON file. So we're gonna load the config file, and let's actually make this as a reference up here. So this is gonna be a bit easier. So like that. So load the configuration file, JSON value conf for configuration, and we're just gonna say load JSON into that conf from the file name .config.jsonc, because we're gonna have comments in here. So and I'm gonna copy that one. I'm gonna go into my app directory, create a new file config.json. Let's actually put them also in the app directory. I don't want to have this HTTPS directory. Let's put this in here. Alright, so now we have a comment enabled JSON file. And inside this JSON file, we want to configure several things. So this is basically configuring SSL key and cert. And I can basically say SSL, or I could just say also make an object here. So SSL, or actually I think objects are harder. I just want to simply read this. So SSL underscore cert is going to be stored somewhere there, and then I have SSL key that's gonna start there. And then basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna press F2 to grab the cert name, and then I'm gonna paste the name here as well and change it to key. So now basically I have defined the key, and later on we also need to of course define our server IP and the server port. So server config, it's the server IP, which is going to be any IP on our system, and the server port, which is going to be 443 for HTTPS. Good. Now we can use them to basically read them. First we need the cert and the key. So let's go back into our Visual Studio, string hasher, and let's ask our configuration to find the SSL cert and convert this to read this as a string. We can copy this over, I think. Why do you have an issue with that conf? Ah, yes, because this is taking a C string, so let's convert this to C string. No? What is going on? Wait a second. JSON string. Wasn't it like that? Was it like get key default value? Ah, yeah, maybe this is actually good to get also default value. As C string. Let's do it like that. Why? What is your issue? Ah, yeah. Now we are good. We need to have both of them as C string, and then we are fine. All right. So actually now we also can have this like at key. Normally they're also called key and PAM files, key PAM and BAM. So we have we have the cert.pam and key.pam, and basically this is also going to give us default values. So if I would hop back into that, SSL cert and SSL key, we could basically generate the server from config. So basically create a server using path from config. And basically what we then want to do is we want to bind our server. Well, basically here we're going to have our server setup. to set up our routes on the server, and then we want to listen server to port. Alright, so server, we're going to say listen, and we need to define a host and the port, and we're gonna get a string again. This should be as easy as that. Let's quickly put the port to 0 just for the sake of quickly getting this done. So server IP, and if we don't get anything, we're gonna take the default one that we already configured here. And was it server IP? Yeah, and server port. So the next one will be conf.get server port 443, of course, like that, as int. Yeah, it looks like it is an int. So server IP and server port. So basically here we're gonna listen our server also to the configure defined by the configuration. All right, so let's try this out if this is actually working, by maybe adding a return statement and making a breakpoint here so that we can see. Basically this function is blocking as long as the server is running. If we're gonna never hit it, everything is good, but we have some issue, yes, because we need to return a value. Good. But this should work now. All right, what we get is a non-closing comment line. That is good and exactly what I want to see. And let's try this actually out. Let's go to localhost. Oh, that is my normal server, HTTPS. Localhost, and we're gonna get this one. This is German. It basically says warning, security issue. Firefox has detected a security issue and localhost was not loaded. If you use this web page, actually middlemans can try to retrieve password, emails, or credit card information. And basically, if we're gonna click on advanced here, we're gonna say localhost is using an invalid certificate. The certificate is not trusted because it was signed by the owner itself, self-signed certificate, which is exactly what we did with this website. It was like called get a self-signed certificate, so we actually are good with that. We can say, all right, we accept that risk and go on. And boom, we are presented with an empty page. And if I would go into the debugging tools of Firefox and would take a look at that one here, or is it actually the debugger? Let's quickly refresh this so that we see a bit more what's going on. So basically we sent a get request to localhost, but we got back a 404 not found error. So basically the web server, the C++ web server, was not able to basically find a route for that because we haven't registered routes. That's all good. How do we stop this web server? We don't. We need to basically kill it currently. And that's the first thing, and you can actually see that there are hella lots of threads are going on here. But yeah. How are we gonna gracefully stop the server? Well, we can do this on several ways. We could like implement a full maintenance life, but personally what I just want to do is I want to be able to shut down the server by appending a /stop to the URL on top here, and then the server should stop. Currently it's not doing anything. So let's set this up. So basically what we want to have is a stop the server when the user call access /stop. And to basically get this, we're going to say server.get to basically define a route for get. So that's going to be a route for stop. And then we need to supply a lambda, and let me quickly get the lambda signature from here. Where do we have it? Get, and there it is. We need to take this member lambda with the ampersand in here so that we can actually access the server object. So let's paste this in here, make also the round brackets, and boom, 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 we should be done. We have an issue that this is not found. HTTP lib HTTP request, and also response server. And now we can basically write code what happens when we stop our server. So what we're gonna say is server dot stop basically, or and, was it called and? No, stop, was it, what, yeah, there it is, stop function. So basically here we're just gonna call stop to our server, and we also say in our respond message, we say redirect, send redirect to basically redirect back to the root of the server when we call stop. Alright, so this should be enough to basically stop the server. I just want to be 100% sure to also tell you that everything is working, so we're also gonna build an index page. So srv get for like the server index, we want to do the same thing again, copy the signature, like that. No, I like to have my stuff, well, actually I'm not truthful to my coding conventions. However, yeah, we're not going to be true today. Actually, if we would true, then would like be something like that, or we could also like do this like that. But personally, I must argue with myself how I want to lay down my coding conventions for lambdas. Actually, my coding conventions for lambdas is basically just don't use them. But we're not going to get far with that in this tutorial. Alright, what happens on the get? I will just want to send, well, how is it called? Set content. So we want to set a content. We can basically set a content and the content type. HTML. I think it's text HTML as far as I'm concerned. Let's quickly try this out. HTML body slash HTML h1 hello world slash h1. So let's see how this is going to perform. And let's see what we get. Alright, we get some empty console, that's already good. And let's now try out to access our index page. And yeah, we're gonna get a hello world, that's good. And if we would now try to access stop, we hit this breakpoint because the server basically shutted itself down. It actually did not even... Yeah, but it redirected to localhost. That's good that it still served that request. This is actually expected because threads will not just die. They will need to go back to one specific point. Alright, so stopping our server now works. Now comes the painful stuff. We need to build a nice layout. We need to have a nice CSS in here. We need to have a nice background, we need to have the form and everything, and for using that we want to use actually a style sheet. And I have something prepared here, so let me quickly go into our app directory and create a folder called www.data. This folder will basically contain all of our web data, and basically inside this directory we're gonna have everything that we need for our style sheet, for our static web content. So let me quickly grab what we need. There it is. And let me quickly drag all that stuff into the www.data. So inside this www.data, we have the semantic license.md and the semantic min.js, which is basically a new fork of the semantic UI library. And we also have like a theme file, themes in here, like icons and other stuff. We also have background.css, which I grabbed from svgbackgrounds.com, which is basically a generator for creating nice and fancy background. I just called the class fancy background 1 here. Alright, so now we have some stuff in. We now need to be able to serve this. So we need to basically tell our web server that we have static content, and that is actually quite easy. So basically we wanna register www.data as content static directory. So let's call srv, I think is, yeah, it's something with mount point. Set mount point. There we go. So basically it's gonna need a mount point and a directory. So the mount point will be the mount point on the server side, so www.data, and locally this will also be stored in www.data, like that. And this should be enough to make this accessible. So let's try this out, what it's gonna do. Let's start it. Yeah, it's started up, and now if I would go back into localhost, refresh the page, we are on hello world. Let's go to www.data, which should give us an error 404, but if we would now try to access one of the files, so for example here this semantic min thing here, let's copy the name actually, And let's add it here. We should now also get this file. Yeah, we get it, so everything is looking good. We have properly mounted this folder. I'm actually curious about something. Let's see if we can actually steal the config from the web server. We should not be able to, but you never know who built this library. I'm a bit scared that it works. No, it doesn't work. That's good. But I'm not quite sure if this is actually a Firefox thing that why this doesn't work. I might need to try this out especially again, but it should not. The library should prevent that, but you should never trust somebody blindly. Alright, so now we have all that fancy and nice CSS in there. Now we need a way to write it. Alright, so let's start writing our CSS code. I have no cursor. Thanks Visual Studio that I need to pause and restart Visual Studio. So how would we now properly write this? I could just make some space in here and no, that's not working. So what's the issue? We cannot really type all HTML in here. Ideally we want to have a templating system like for example Laravel has a PHP framework. Basically we want to have a kind of like a template engine where we can write HTML templates in Visual Studio Code, for example, and then they are getting automatically loaded and filled with data from the server. And yeah, because we are using Conan, let's find another library that makes that tick. So let's go back to that, and we're gonna use, I think it was called Gint, the library. Gint. Yeah, no, Jinja. That is what we want. Jinja is or Inya, sorry, not Jinja, Inya, because it's not Java. Inya is a template engine for modern C++, loosely inspired by Jinja for Python. There it is, Jinja, but it's called Inya. I know there was Jinja in there somewhere. Alright, so basically what the thing is you define some data, so it's also having its own JSON implementation. I think this is nloman JSON as far as I'm concerned, but I'm not quite sure. So basically, yeah. You also supply it some JSON data, and then you supply the template and the data, and it basically converts this all to nice text. So let's grab Inya. What? I'm not gonna get to it. Inya. And let's add this to our Conan file as a requirement. And let's quickly reconfigure the project, and you can see, yeah, it's using nloman JSON. So basically, we have added Inya, and it also pulled nloman JSON. So now we have two JSON libraries. Amazing, that's always good. And let's reload the full project, and now we should be able to use it. So let's also include it. Include Inya, Inya.hpp. And now we should be able to basically load what we want. So let's try this out. So Inya also works with templates on disk. So basically there is a function, where is it? Yeah, parse template from disk, something like that. And then we can basically take this, and then we're gonna call the render function. So yeah, let's go for it. So we wanna load the index template. So let's say template. Of course, it's all not known because it's in the namespace environment. So we need to have an Inya environment. So let's create an Inya environment. This is kind of like a context with which you want to work. You could argue if you want to create a global environment, but the thing is that these functions, the web server is multi-threaded, so you need to be sure that you are multi-thread safe, and I don't want to implement like a rendering engine, a global environment that then pre-caches template and then exclusively granting the access. But I think this template is kind of like used nicely. So yeah. So let's use this template. So let's load templates. I think there was already templates in there. Yeah, templates, good. Let's load templates index.tpl.html. I want to have it as that at this ending, so that basically code is a bit more happy with that. So let's copy this index.tpl.html templates, and let's go into Visual Studio Code, and let's go into the app directory. Let's go create the templates directory, and let's add a new file, the index.tpl.html. And now let's maybe grab an example from Inja first. I think, no, we don't need an example. We are just gonna go full with that. So let's get started by writing a very basic thing. So doc type HTML, title, no, not title, head, I'm an idiot. Head, style, no, how is it? Oh my god, I haven't used HTML in ages. Ah yes, that's how it was done. Link style sheet, and we basically want to go to www.data semantic min.css, and additionally we want to have my fancy backgrounds that I have found at the web page. So we want to go for backgrounds.jpg, jpeg.css, that basically is currently just having one. So yeah, title is gonna be web string hasher. Let's do a body, and the class of the body is gonna be, is it actually automatically detecting that from the style sheets that I have included? No, because it's probably not in the same directory. Where's my background.css? Fancy bg1, like that call is like that. So class fancy background1, and let's save this now and let's try this out. Or actually, let's not try this out. Let's make the title a variable so that we can see that our engine is working. So let's call this page title, like that. Let's copy the name and let's go to C++ and populate that. So basically here we are loading the template, and now we're gonna basically build data, and then we basically have render content, and we have injar JSON page data, and basically what we're gonna do down here is we're gonna do injar, or now we're gonna do env render, and we're gonna have a template TPL, and we're gonna use the page data, and we're gonna get a C string out of that. Or actually, I think we don't need one because the HTML library is also built on plain JSON stuff. All right, now we want to actually populate it. So we want to set the page title to hello world exclamation mark. Let's see how this is gonna do. Alright, so the web server has started. That's already a good sign. Let's now try out what it does after I've closed my references, and let's refresh it, and hey, it actually works. We can see the fancy background and we get the title Hello World. So you can see that our C++ template works. The C++, yeah, kind of like template works. And if we would add something like, this is like the page title, and we could like say, alright, so I want to say lol, that's runtime change able, like that. And they would refresh this, boom, lol, that's runtime changeable. Because it's runtime changeable, because yeah, basically we currently are not caching the templates. Alright, so let's start by implementing a nice little style. So let's do a div class container, I think. And let's try this out with just some random text. How this is gonna look? It should be like padded a bit, no? UI container. That might be something. So if I would say UI container, is it now gonna be, yeah, now it's gonna be inlined like that. Alright, so now what I want to do instead of that, I want to have a little div that is just gonna have a bit of margin top. Let's maybe say 10 pixel to make some space. Is it not allowed to have a div like that? Then we're gonna have a span. Yeah, there we go. Just an empty span here. That's gonna just give us some margin, and we're gonna have a header here, and we're gonna reflect the page title once again. So now let's see. Hello world, but our margin to the top is not working. Is it that? Probably not, because it's CSS. CSS is always pain in the butt if you want to do it properly, so that's why you have libraries. Adding the style in here will work. Yeah, there we go. Now it's padded. We do have a scroll bar, why ever, but yeah. Also, I find that H1 is a bit too big, so let's maybe go for H2. And let's now add a menu, which has, or not a menu, let's add like this cardy thing with a menu bar on top of it, so that we have some actions for the server. So, how was it called? Menu, 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 menu. There it is, menu. I do want to have... I think I like that style. So let's copy that one. And let's go back to our template. Let's paste that in here. Boom. 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 Boom, 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 boom. Like that. And the right menu will be our shutdown button. Stop server. Oh yeah, there was the A. We're gonna have the segment, and it's gonna contain the data itself. We're gonna later on build this inside a build this into a nice little self-including thing. So basically, this is gonna be our string H64. So we're gonna have multiple versions. So we're gonna have a 32-bit version, we have a 64-bit version, and we're gonna have a 128-bit version, and currently we're just going to set active to the 32-bit version. So let's save this and let's see how this is going to look. And yeah, that's looking nice. Oh, where is this badly? Ah, there it is. Remove it. So now we basically have this nice little bar. We can stop. We could ideally stop the server. We can select the hashing algorithm, and down here we're gonna later on be able to input some text. So let's quickly add the links to that, and then we're going to transform this into a nice little template that we can then later on include. So yeah, let's first add that one here, because that's easy. We're gonna have href is gonna be equal to /stop, stop to stop the server, and if I would now refresh that, server is still up. I'm going to click on stop server, and you see that it's already taking quite long to load, and soon we're going to get an error that this doesn't work. And if we would take a look at Visual Studio, you can see that the debugging has stopped. If I would restart this, the server would be, if I would refresh it, would be up again now. Alright, so now what we want to implement is these different hashing algorithms. So what I basically want to have them pointing at a specific link URL, and we're going to implement this right now. So I'm going to have an href here, so the href will be to h32, and here we would have it to h64 and h128. And that's it. So now let's actually change this into the code that we can also use this. First of all, we want to have an H, and then we want to have a regular expression. And I think we can. Was it just the plus or was it backslash? It was like a bit hard to get the stuff ready. I don't have it up again. HTTP. Lib HTTP, there it is. No, it's not, it's a different server. Lib HTTP, how was that guy called? Yeah, whatever. I'm not able to get it. Ha ha ha, I love it. Lib HTTP, HTTP lib, CPP HTTP lib, there it is. So let's see. If I scroll down a bit, how did he do this? So basically he called it numbers, and then yeah, he did something like that, D plus. I think this is positive numbers as far as I'm concerned, but I'm not. I totally am a total regular expression noob, but I think this should work. Now the only thing that will no longer work is basically these are our hash index pages. They are gonna work, but our main index is not gonna work, so we're gonna implement our main index. So we're gonna implement a get method again for our slash. And what we're gonna do right here is we're gonna get where are my brackets? There they are. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna redirect to my default hashing algorithm. So I'm gonna say redirect, set redirect, and I want to redirect to H64 for a 64-bit hash. This should be the default one. Alright, so this needs a restart here on Visual Studio. And let's wait a sec until it's up again. There it is, and let's see if everything is working as expected. So this should redirect us to H64, and now we should be able to nearly actually type in all numbers. So actually H0 would also work. Is -1 working? No, -1 is not working, so the plus actually works, plus including 0. Now the first thing that we want to have is we want to actually check this value when we are now on that hashing value, and then we actually want to pass that on. So basically we're going to have a few more properties in here. We're going to have the is H32, and we're going to have 64, 128, and they will be equal to kind of like a basically get hashing width. So we're going to have an in64, what is that for type? In64t hash width, which is going to be -1 by default, or let's just put it at 0, that's as well good. And what I'm going to do here is basically I'm going to check if it is 32, 64, or 128, and now we can try to if inside of our templates, but I need to definitely take a look at this because I'm really not an expert in that. Where was it? If whatever, then there is that. So we can do this like that. So let's copy that. Conditions, like there's a simple condition, we can also just use that one. Good, then let's copy this condition. Is H32 is what I did call this. And let's wrap them around the active one. Is there also like an end if? How does end if look like? End if looks like that. So we can basically wrap this around the active, and we can say if actually we could also like directly check the hash width inside that. That's gonna dramatically decreasing our code in C++. So let's call this hash width, and we're just gonna assign the hash width here like that. That's easier. So hash width, let's take that one, hash width, and we're gonna check if this is equal to 32. And we can now copy the full extent of that and paste it in here and change it to 64 and 128. Let's save it. Let's restart that one because we have basically changed something, but actually restarting this should basically make no item active. Let's see that no item should be active now if I refresh. Yeah, because no hash algorithm is selected here because we're currently not populating that var. And now we can basically try to receive it. So let's say this is equal to the request matches, and I think it was like that. To no, or was it like that? To no. Let's see how it was done in the example. So it is a string. All right. So we have a C++ string here, and we basically need to convert it to an integer. All right, so let's do this. Let's include the SS stream, and I think if I am not 100% an idiot, you can just push data in a string stream in, and you then can basically push it out to the hash width like that in theory. So basically stream in, stream out. I think it was like working like this. Let's try this out. if this is gonna work. Let's see. See if we're gonna get a crash when I refresh the page. No, we don't get one. But it's also working. You can see that we have the x64 selected. Yes, matching. If I would switch to 32, it switches to 32, 128. Boom, boom, boom. The only issue, H whatever is wrong, doesn't work. So let's quickly stop the server and let's also change that. So let's check if the hash is actually correct. So we're gonna check for valid hash type or hash value, and we're gonna say if hash width not equals 32 and hash width not 64-bit and hash width is not 128, then we're gonna say response is it a error send. I think we can throw, is it http lib error? How can we do this? Or do we just get an error if I early return? If I don't set any content, what are we gonna get? Let's try this actually out, what happens if we just send a plain return if we don't match the hash width. So let's start the server and let's at least see what we get. Why am I compiling so slow today? Alright, so let's try this out. Localhost should redirect this to 64-bit. Let's make an odd number here. At least we're gonna get a blank page. That's good. But let's actually see what this blank page is. Let's refresh that. An unexpected error occurred. That's interesting. We did get a proper error code. That's good. Yeah, I can live with that. Our code aborted, so everything is good. We can do our hash codes and now we are fine. So yeah, now let's actually do a bit of more styling. So what we need are two pages on our server. We need one page where you enter the hash value and one page where you get it back. And for that we want to of course use our styling engine properly. So let's see what it offers us. The styling engine should offer us inheritance for templates. So we can define a block and we can later on then populate this block. So block content, that's what we want. So basically we want to define a content block that we can later use. So let's go back into our on our file here and let's actually add this block content and block. So basically we're going to just name it page content to just make this a bit more visible. Alright, so now we have defined a block here and everything is good. The only thing that we need to change now is we're going to need to rename this to base TPL because it's going to be our template base, and then I'm going to add another file, index tpl.html, which is going to be our new index. And what we want to do here is we want to actually extend that. So basically we're going to extend our base.tpl.html. So that's what we want to extend. And then we want to also, of course, implement block. So block content and end block is going to be used for that. So I did call it differently. So page content like that one. And yeah, let's just keep this as I don't know if the class is there, but we just want to keep this for checking. And what happens now is the server still running. It is running. We just made changes to templates, so we should still be good. And surely enough, it actually works. Index, welcome to my blog. Yes, it works. So now let's make this a bit more descriptive and let's find a nice layout that works for that one. I think, how did I had a nice layout for that. Was it segment? Yes, it was segment. That's like what I want. And basically I want to have this find country, but full screen. So I'm basically taking that and combining it with that. So yeah, let's do this. Placeholder segment. Go to our newly created file here and let's start inserting the data here. So yeah, let's start by that one. Boom. Boom, boom. Aha, damn, that's already the end of that block. Alright, so we have a button. I'm missing something. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so now we have the search icon and UI icon header, which is good. We don't have any documents matching your query. That's not what I want to say. I want to say, please enter the string you want to be hashed. Oh, that's what it's saying. And we're going to have a primary button that basically says, build bit hash, and that is going to be, of course, our hash width. So we also want to say the bit width of our hash again. So let's try this out. Please enter the string you want to be hashed. Build 32-bit hash. If you want to go to 64, build 64-bit hash, 128-bit hash. So this is all working as desired. The only thing that's bad is this icon. We want to have a different one. So as far as I know, they have font awesome. So let's maybe see what font awesome has. I mean, font awesome has evolved quite since then. Let's take a look at the icons. I just want to have free. Where can I do it? We are all icons. That's what I want to have, and I want to just have free ones. Is there something for hashes? Oh, yeah, let's do a hashtag. That's probably in here. It's just called hashtag. That's good. So, yeah, just want to have that actually. So, hashtag icon. Let's see if that works. If that is actually font awesome. Yeah, it works. Please enter the string you want to be hashed. Now we also need a text box, which is in a different tab, and I'm totally overdoing it with tabs today. Alright, so how is it? UI search. I can input. That's a bit too blown up, I think. Can we just try to do this minimal input class whatever? Can we just put it on top of here? Let's just put it on top of here and see how it's gonna look. And of course it looks bad, but we can input something. Yay! I think it needs to go into this input form here. Yeah, I think it needs to go in here. We also need this I class, so let's grab the full one. And let's see how this is gonna perform. We're gonna then change the icon, and I'm gonna go to migrate this now into this tab. Yeah, finally there. All right, now we have it at least in here. I do want to have a new line there, definitely. Is it looking good or ugly? Of course it's looking ugly, as expected, because it is not really meant to be like that. So we might just want to inline, or actually I want to have a full text box. All right, so we're gonna try to inline a full form into that. So let's go to form. There we go. And I do want to have a normal big text box like that one. Text. So let's copy this and try to add a form in here. Div class inline. Can we try to make let's just paste the form in here and let's see how it looks. Oh, long text, short text. I think we're gonna be good with the short text because we can expand it. And it's looking actually quite nice. So we're gonna go for the short text without the label. And what I would want to have is I would want to like to have this in here. Is that gonna work? No, because I know what the issue is. This is an inline block, so it's gonna try to inline everything. But I don't want to inline that. I want to have this in a normal form style context. Now we are talking. So, and this is gonna be a form. And we're just gonna put this as a div. That's actually okay for now. And if I would refresh this now, this should look good. Yeah, now it's looking as I want to have it. The only thing that's missing now is the proper form attributes, and also to make this as a forms button. So let's see how buttons in the form work. There's a submit button. It's a button class UI button. Just gonna copy and merge them together. So UI primary button, type submit. We're gonna take our text, paste it in here. Now we have a proper button. Now let's also make the action of that form, which is gonna be just the current page. And the method is gonna be post. So let's see what happens if we would refresh the page. Yeah, now that's looking quite nice. So let's test something. Hello world, and build 64-bit hash. And of course we don't get anything because we did a post request here. I'm not quite sure if we even hit our controller because that's a hashtag. This might screw us up, this hashtag. I think it's gonna screw us up. Let's actually build this on our own, the action here. So the action will be h hash with. We don't care, we can build this. Yeah, that's looking a bit better. Now let's actually write the C++ handler. But before we can do this, we first need a hashing library, and I'm gonna use trusty old xxhash. Or not old, it's not old, but where is my, there it is. So let's search for xxhash, there we go, xxhash. Let's copy the xxhash line here, let's import it, let's reconfigure the project to get xxhash. Oh, xxhash has not been built, so they're gonna build it here. That's okay, and there we go, now properly configured project. String hasher, reload all. Yes, stop debugging. I don't need the server now. And let's also include it. Hashtag include xx hash. I think we might need xxhash 3 for actually for the 128-bit hash, but we're gonna see. Alright, basically what we now want to do is we want to now copy this full function here to get started, because we're gonna need it. But now we're gonna use it as post, so it's gonna format this again how it likes. Control Z should fix that. And we won't want to call this now post because it's gonna be a post request. So basically request hashing process. Alright, so we're gonna have an environment, but now we are not gonna go to our index, we're gonna go to our result.template. And we're gonna get this one as well. We're gonna convert it, we're gonna check it, and what we now want to do is now we wanna perform hashing. So page title will be still again the same. Here I'm just gonna change this to import your hash any string, and down here we're just gonna say your hash result. And later on we're also gonna have a string hash. This is gonna be a string here later on. Just gonna be a dummy string, dummy like that for now. And now here we wanna actually perform our hashing. And I'm actually gonna do this differently now. So yeah, first of all, we're gonna set up our string stream for hashing. So ss string like that, and then I want to say std hex, and everything else is going to be formed down here. So let's do a switch on our hash width. Let's do default statement, and let's return on that to basically abort. So basically stop on any other width, and then we're gonna have our cases. So we're gonna have a 32-bit case where we're gonna import in our string stream. We're gonna first set the width, So when I set the fill here, std set fill, I am on the wrong mode, that is bad. And I just want to set the width here, 32-bit divided by 4 is 8. And then I want to import, where I am now, xxh32. And the import is going to be taken from our request that we need to extract, of course. So get import std string user string, and what we're going to do is we're going to take the user string c string and the user string dot length and the seed of 0, and just going to stream this into the stream and break. I'm going to do the same thing for 64-bit. We're going to do the same thing for 128 bits, but this is we're going to work differently. So auto hash is going to be that one, and this might screw things up. That is why you should put something like that in brackets. And then I'm going to hash the lower part, or input the lower part and the higher part here. And of course the width is going to be increasing for every hash value that we get. Well, actually no, I think here we are not increasing because we are going to input them 2 times. So this should be good as well. Alright, so now we basically have our performing of the hashing. We just now need to extract the user string, and there should be somewhere in the request. I think it's in these parameters, and we're gonna input a name. Why is that not working? Is it like that? No. So let's look this up. Control F, post request. Post data, so request get request get parameter value. So we're gonna have a key in here like that one, like that here. Alright, that should work. Now we just need to give our form a name, which is inside of Visual Studio Code, or our field basically. So currently this, where is it? That's our base. Here we are. Our text area name is gonna be, oh, that's not the name. So the name is gonna be string to hash. And then we can take this name, go over to CPP, paste that in so that we can get the user string, and it's all then probably going to be hashed. And then I'm later on going to take the string out of the string stream to then pass on the view basically. Alright, now let's create the view. We called it result.whatever. There we go. So let's go into here and let's create a new file. Let's get the index. Let's copy that all over to the result. Let's remove all the text here. Or actually, let's do this like just remove that. And I want to have the success icon probably. Or bell icon, ding, ding. Here is your hash, and then I want to have like the code tags maybe. I don't think are they working like that, but probably yes. And then I want to just grab my how did I call it? I have such a bad mind, I can't remember stuff. I'm just gonna paste this in here. There it is. Ding ding, here is your hash. Let's maybe add a new line here. Good. That's looking good. Let's see if this works as we desire it to work. Let's start up the web server. Let's see if it compiles on the first point. Looks good. Alright, no instant crash, also well. Let's see if it does what we want. Let's start with a 64-bit hash because it's easier. So, or 32. Go, we're gonna start with 32. So, hash any string. Hello, world. Build 32-bit hash, ding ding, here's your hash and nothing is in here. But at least we got the post request and we got into the view, got rendered. Let's now take a look at the code. It didn't spell out any hash. Alright, so let's go on to debugging. Here is your hash. Alright, so we should jump in here now. And what is the hash? So the hash is computed correctly. Do I miss something? Is it set v too small? Or is the string stream just broken because we already used it? So let's do a CSS for conversion string stream up here. And let's do another string stream that is just there for writing. Let's see if that is solving anything. It could be that it's just screwed up because of what we did to it, but that would be really concerning. But it's working now, so we can't reuse them. We can't reuse the third object, that's bad. Alright, so just now let me make sure that I always do it like that. There we go, 16. And also to have this always at hand, like that. Alright. This should now make everything work. Let's see. Do we still have breakpoints in here? No, good. So let's go into the browser and see what we get. So h32. Hello world. Let's copy that because we're gonna need this some more times, and it still has breakpoints. Ding ding, here is your hash, 0BD6778 whatever. So that's looking good. Let's try a 64-bit hash, ding ding, here's your hash. 128 hash, ding ding, here's your hash. So yeah, we wrote a web server in C++ which actually can hash strings. That's amazing. I'm gonna later on upload the code to GitHub so that you can easily try this out on your machine, and if you click stop server, the server is gonna shut down and stop debugging. Alright, so yeah, thank you for watching. That was quite a nice project, I think. To actually see how easy you can write a web server in C++, 150 lines, and use Conan to easily obtain like 1, 2, 3, 4 libraries that help you populate that. So yeah, thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and have a nice day. Bye.